Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jake Milham, joined by Jeremy Greco and MLB.com's Annie Rogers. Annie, thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Doing well.
Good. Glad to hear. Jeremy, how we feeling? It's a Tuesday night. We're a little bit out of our schedule.
I don't have an answer for that right now. I'll get back to you later.
Fair enough. Well, I don't think Annie needs any introduction. If you're already listening to this podcast, you probably read her work diligently and know who she is. How long have you been on the beat now, Annie? Is this going to be your third season?
This is going to be my fourth season, which is crazy. Yeah, that just hit me actually earlier today. I was talking to someone else and they asked how long I was in Kansas City, and I moved in here 2021, and it's just crazy how fast it goes. So lucky to be here for sure.
Heck yeah. You had some big shoes to fill, and you've done a great job of it so far. But your path to Kansas City had to run through a school that plenty of people are familiar with down in Columbia. I got to ask you, your alma mater had a good end to the football season, and they're doing pretty good in basketball. How about those Tigers, right?
Yeah, MIZ for sure. I love the Tigers. I'm happy to rep them in a land full of Jayhawks here in Kansas City. There's way more KU people than I expected over here. Coming from St. Louis, there's a lot of Tigers over in St. Louis, so it was kind of an adjustment for my husband and I to come over to the other side of the state, but that just makes our fandom much bigger. So we got a Missouri flag outside of our house, and it was an awesome football season. The bowl game was really stressful for the first three quarters, and then lightened up a little bit there at the end, and just a really fun way to end the season. So definitely excited for next year already.
Heck yeah. You got to plant your flag back in enemy territory, of course. How were your holidays? We're getting into 2024 here, so I want to hear all about Christmas and New Year's. What'd you do?
Yeah, the great thing about the baseball season is that you get to spend Christmas and New Year's with your family. We spent Christmas in St. Louis with my husband's family, and then New Year's in Iowa with my family. So split it up a little bit. Very relaxing, very chill, and that's exactly what we wanted. So I was very happy that the Royals got most of their offseason stuff done before Christmas. As long as there's no news breaking on the holiday, I'm happy. It was a busy couple of weeks beforehand, but that made it much nicer to just chill out and eat lots of cookies and drink eggnog and all that stuff during the holidays. And now, it's 2024, and it's crazy how as soon as the new year happens and you get into January, spring training suddenly seems so much closer than it did, even at Christmas. So starting to pivot towards that and looking at, rosters, making sure I have all my travel set, and that's coming up quick.
Heck yeah. I was going to ask, do you have any plans before spring training? Because I don't know the number of days between now and then off the top of my head, but it is right around the corner with pitchers and catchers.
I leave in 5 weeks, I think, exactly. So, or maybe 4. I think it's 5. But not too much. We're going up to DC actually this coming weekend. To visit some friends. We have a contingent of our friend group out there on the East Coast. So we'll be out there and seeing some people. And then we have a family thing in a couple of weeks in Indiana. But other than that, just chilling until I have to leave, soaking up as much time here at home before I relocate down there for 6 months or 6 weeks.
Yeah, I always forget how long spring training actually is. I think it's oh, hey, we're going to have real baseball at the end of February, but that's not the case. It's just more waiting at the end of it all.
Yeah.
Listen, we were talking about this is going to be your fourth season covering the Kansas City Royals for MLB.com. And, between the pandemic and front office changes, managerial changes, each offseason has presented unique challenges since you started covering the team. But this has kind of been a good offseason from the Royals fan point of view. I want to get your POV though. What is the vibe within the team right now, front office or just the players?
Yeah, it's a lot of excitement. I think, we talk about that a lot every time spring training nears. It's excitement, and people are excited to get on the field, get back together as a team. But I think this year is a lot different than years past. Obviously, because of the free agent additions, like we mentioned, there's been six free agents joining the team, and then a couple of trades here and there. So we're looking at a pretty different roster entering 2024. And then I think also the way that the Royals ended the season last year got them excited for maybe what's to come. Like, you did see some strides made, especially in the offense. And I think they want to just continue that momentum. So I talked to a lot of front office people in the off season, and then, players here and there, and I'm hearing a lot of good things. They're noticing the recognition that they're getting nationally, just about, how much money they've committed to free agents, what they're trying to do from a roster point of view. So it's exciting. And now, there's going to be a lot of talk for the next couple of weeks until we actually see it all come together on the field.
Yeah, and we're all very much looking forward to actually seeing the finished product come together on opening day. Just you already gave us plenty of your thoughts on the off season, but like, were you surprised about the active off season, or was kind of the writing on the wall with how last season ended and that postseason press conference?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised in the fact that, I knew they were going to add. Even publicly, General Manager JJ Piccolo was very open about him wanting, to go out and get 2 to 3 starters, add to the bullpen, and privately too. I had a lot of people telling me the Royals are going to be busy. I don't think I could have guessed they would have gotten it all done within a week. I think I thought it would be a little bit more spread out. But I think once they got the ball rolling, it just kind of took off from there. And I don't think sorry if you hear my dog walking around my office. He's being annoying. But I just don't think the Royals foresaw the market the way that it was this offseason, the way that it is really still, because there's still plenty of players unsigned. And so once they could get a couple of guys signed, it really got the ball rolling and got them started with their offseason goals. And then a week later, they had it all finished, it's kind of a whirlwind, but that's also really fun, I think, for fans to watch. And then, for me to cover, it's very busy.
So you think the Royals are pretty much done then? I felt like I heard JJ Piccolo say something like that, but then other people had kind of suggested, well, maybe they'll make some trades or maybe one more signing. Have you heard anything either way?
Sure, I don't think you could. Yeah, I don't think you can ever say they're done, because if you look at the roster, it's not a complete roster. I don't think they can ever settle. But as far as the big additions, the starters, the bullpen arms that they've added, their goals they've accomplished. Now it's about creating depth. If there's another bullpen arm they can add, I don't think they can shy away from that. They've stated publicly that they'd like to get, maybe another infielder, utility guy, to, a left-handed bat, that sort of thing. And I think a lot of it does rely on the depth. So those minor league signings and, with non-roster invites, things like that, there'll be moves here and there as we get closer to spring.
Okay. I love to hear that. Never, you can get most of the things checked off the list, but you never want to settle, especially when a good opportunity arises in MLB. Listen, I wanted to ask this because I want to say I was talking to Royals prospect Javier Vaz, and one of the broadcasters for the teams that he was on said that he was always the go-to guy if you wanted a good quote or if you wanted a good answer to a question. I wanted to ask you that on the MLB level, who is a person, player, or coach that you can always count on for a good answer to a question?
Yeah, I will say like the Royals clubhouse is really great. It's full of a lot of really good guys. They understand what our jobs are. They know we have to ask the tough questions sometimes, but they also know like we're there to tell stories and we're there to relay info to fans who ultimately like the fans show up to the games. The fans are the ones supporting them. So it's not like a tense situation at all in the clubhouse, which I know is different from other teams. So I'm sorry, guys. Let me just get my dog out of my office because he is. Hey.
Listen, I laugh as I have my lab sitting, or sorry, my wife's service dog sitting next to me with a squeaker toy. That's why I keep muting myself.
I'm so sorry. He is like right now is the time of day where he is like gets really anxious or not anxious, but just restless and crazy. And so he's being annoying. Anyway, but I was saying like the clubhouse is full of a really great group of guys. That being said, as far as a player, if we need a go-to quote, someone to talk to after the game, whether it's a tough game or not a lot what was going on, I would probably say Michael Massey he's always thoughtful with his answers. He always gives us the time. He won our Baseball Writers Association Good Guy Award, the media award that we give every year. So I had to give him a shout out. And then coaching side, hitting coach Alex Zumwalt is probably the best. The coaches are really great too, but Zumi I can go to if I have any, not even like questions for a story, but just clarification questions or something that I saw a guy was working on. He's really great at explaining things and breaking things down. So I'm very lucky to have such a good group of individuals who give me the time of day and make sure that I have everything I need to do my job.
In that same vein, is there anybody that the Royals have had to let go in free agency or traded or whatever that you kind of miss having around to ask questions to?
Yeah, actually, seeing some of the guys who have left just this offseason by way of like roster moves. Jonathan Heasley was great. I'm excited for him to get another opportunity. Colin Snyder was really nice to talk to. He and I talked a lot about like the robo umps down at the AAA level last year. He had some really interesting thoughts about it, and it was really fun to talk to him about that. And a lot of guys who have gone on, like I don't root for the team. I'm a beat writer, but I also like you get to know these people, and every time they move on, like you hope they do well. You hope that they can figure it out, and you hope that you get to know like their families and stuff too from being at the ballpark. So a lot of these guys, I just every time they move on, I just hope that they do well and can continue their careers moving forward.
So, as kind of fan writers, me and Jacob frequently have difficulty during the off season talking about the team, writing about the team. Is it hard for you to work during the off season, or is it harder during the regular season? I know you have to do a lot of travel and all that then. Or do you look forward to the start of the season because you're like, oh, now I'm really going to have, more sources to talk to and more stories to tell? Or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I think both kind of present, unique challenges. Obviously, with the season, there's way more storylines to write, way more things to write about, but you're writing a lot more. So there's just a lot more content that you have to come up with. Whereas the off season, we've scaled back to, I do 2 newsletters a week and cover news whenever it pops up. This off season has been, busier, I guess, than most, both because of, the Royals move, but also like the stadium stuff that's happening. There's always stuff to kind of keep abreast on. So it's just unique, different time of years. I'd say like I'm always on my phone, but I spend a lot more time calling people in the off season than I do in season because I can always just see them in person in the ballpark.
Sure.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's better to work in person, in my opinion. That's something that I've come to appreciate over the years. But speaking of some of the dynamics that come with you traveling so much and following the team around the country, you married Andrew last off season. So this past season was your first one married. What were the dynamics like being on the road so much and covering the team while settling into married life?
Yeah, Andrew and we've been together since college. So once I started this job, almost 6 years ago, which is crazy. We've kind of like gotten used to the dynamics of traveling and in season versus off season. But I'm very lucky to have a really supportive partner. He loves that I'm chasing my dreams and doing what I love to do, and vice versa for him. He has a very normal like schedule for his job, so it's a little different. Whereas like I'll get home really late at night, he'll be already asleep. He leaves early in the morning, I'll be still sleeping. But I'm very lucky. My boss gives us some good amount of series off for I don't have to travel, so I use those like 3 days 4 days to really reset, spend time with Andrew. But no, it's been really good. We're both like really independent too, so honestly kind of nice to have that independent time away, and then that just makes being back together so much greater, so much nicer. And we really try to take advantage of every opportunity we get, even as our schedules are always keeping us on the go. I will say, like, having Andrew around, it allows us to have a dog, because I would not have a dog on during like my normal schedule if I was just living alone. So we have Harry, and he keeps us on our toes, and I get really excited every time I get to come home to Harry and Andrew, but mainly Harry too. So, but no, it's been really good. You guys know how much I love my dog. He's the best, even when he's annoying me because
and
he's a puppy and just.
We're both dog owners too, so we
Okay,
totally
good.
get that. All about the dogs. So for this upcoming season, do you set any goals for yourself about certain stories you want to tell, or ways you want to tell them, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to keep growing as a reporter and as a storyteller. Every year it's crazy. Like we're talking about this being my fourth year. Every year I feel like I've gotten a little bit better as a reporter, just creating relationships and building new sources, and that trust that comes with building sources. It's hard when you start out. You have this whole organization to get to know, and it just is so overwhelming because there's so many people and so much history to remember. And then you just kind of have to put your head down and keep working. And little by little, you start to become like, the voice that people look towards, and they start reading your stuff. And I think like looking back now, I'm really grateful that I just kind of put my head down and worked as hard as I could. And I'll continue to do that because you can kind of see that hard work pay off now that I'm 4 years into it, and moving forward. So as far as this year, like just continuing that, and then every year, we reevaluate like our content and how we put it out. So falling in line with what the bosses say, of course, but doing a lot more with my newsletter, because that people have really responded well to that. So there's more coming on that front, covering the team in a different way, whether that's analytically or focusing on features. Like we're always trying to switch things up and keep people more involved, and watching games, but also reading content about it. So it's kind of just ever evolving.
Do you pitch a lot of stories, or do you have a lot of stories assigned to you, or not very many stories assigned to you, and you kind of have to come up with all the ideas yourself, or how does that work?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the story. Like almost everything that you read during the season or like my newsletter, unless it's like a formatted thing. We get assigned a lot of formatted stories, but other than that, like I'm pretty much on my own as far, coming up with stories and features and things like that, which is great. It does offer me a lot of independence for just, you know, being an expert on the team I cover and, going after the stories that make sense for, fans of the Royals. Because every team is different. Like I have 29 other colleagues who are all kind of going about it differently, and I steal ideas from them and they steal ideas from me. So it's a nice collaborative effort on that front. But yeah, I come up with the vast majority of the stuff that you guys are reading.
Game day internship with the Omaha Storm Chasers is the perfect opportunity for a college student interested in exploring a career in the sports industry. Storm Chasers interns have the chance to work in almost every aspect of game day and event operations at Warner Park, while gaining knowledge about the inner workings of minor league baseball. There's no better way to learn and grow while discovering your passions and goals than becoming a part of our Chasers family. To learn more about internship opportunities with the Storm Chasers, head to omahastormchasers.com or email Ania Tate, ANIYAT, at omahastormchasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm, we're family.
Okay. Yeah, listen, I've been learning that a lot of collaboration and mentorship go into writing in general, much less covering a sports team. For our listeners who are unaware, you are a member of the Association for Women in Sports Media. It's a nonprofit with a special mission. Could you tell us about AWSM and why its mission matters to you?
Yeah, we call it awesome. AWSM just kind of spells awesome. So I'll refer to it as that. But I joined it in college. We had a Mizzou chapter. I ended up becoming president of that chapter, and basically it just offers. It's an organization that supports women in sports media. It's very straightforward. It's not only for women; men can join it too. We welcome that. It's basically just about keeping sports media equal, among everybody who's involved in it. It can be it is a male dominated industry. It's a very male dominated industry. And so making sure that we have the resources to support, women who are breaking in for the first time or potentially like I'm the only woman on the beat. I've been the only woman on the beat. And most of the time I'm the only woman in the press box on the writing side. So it can be, the organization is a good way to just lend resources, lend mentors for people like me and all through the industry. So it's an awesome organization. I encourage everyone to look it up and read about it. They offer an internship every year for a couple of college students, and I actually was a recipient of one in 2018, which is where I got my start with MLB.com. So I covered the Rockies for a season. For a summer, I should say, in 2018. And that is the reason I am where I am now. It showed me I wanted to be a baseball writer. It got me my start at MLB.com. I networked with the bosses, and then when the job in St. Louis opened up, they had me in the kind of their pipeline, which was really special. So definitely right place and right time for that. But I definitely would not be where I am without that awesome internship. So it's a cause really special to my heart. I'm glad you guys asked about it.
Wow. That's awesome. That is, well, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Hey, it sounds like a great mission. I didn't realize that's where you kind of got your start and your foot in the door, because like sometimes that's all one needs, but getting to that door and just having the door open sometimes is a lot harder than people realize. I will say that.
Yeah. It was cool. It was really cool. I mean, the whole summer was just really special. At that point, like I was in sports media. I just didn't know what sport I wanted to cover. And I think like everyone who is in college for journalism will take any job available to them post college. So I like wasn't setting any like standards or setting expectations, but that was a summer like just the grind of the season, the camaraderie of the clubhouse, I just felt like that was where I definitely wanted to be. And if I was lucky enough that a job opened up in baseball, I would want to go after that. And luckily it did. So definitely grateful for that summer and the organization that put me there.
Heck yeah. Jeremy, do you have any follow-on questions?
Yeah, you said that you knew that you wanted to go into sports media, but when did you know you wanted to become a sports writer? I guess I want to go back further on your journey and find that out.
Yeah. I grew up in a sports family. I mean, we always just were watching sports and playing sports. We were really active. And I also grew up loving writing. I was horrible at math and science, like literally so bad at it. No one ever told me that you needed to like know math to calculate OPS and like average and like things like that. I'm really annoyed about that. So I'm very thankful for like Fangraphs and Baseball Reference in that aspect. But so yeah, I just love sports and I love writing. And when I joined my high school newspaper in Johnston, Iowa, my advisor said, "Hey, you know that you can create a career out of this. Like people cover sports for a living." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. How do I do that?" And she gave me a list of good journalism programs in the country. And my mom wasn't gonna put me on a plane for college. She said, "No, you're staying in driving distance." So it's like, okay, Syracuse is out, ASU is out. I wanted to go to California at one point. She was like, "No way, you are going any of those places." Said, okay, what about Mizzou? And that's 4 hours away from home. And so she said, okay. That's kind of how I ended up at Mizzou. And luckily it's one of the best, if not the best, I say it's the best, of course, journalism program in the nation. And it's only 4 hours away from home. So got the stamp of approval from mom and went to college. So that's kind of how I ended up in journalism.
I like that negotiation that went from California all the way back to Missouri.
Yeah,
good
and now like here I am still in Missouri. Like I was in college, I was like, I'm going anywhere. I'm going to the East Coast. I'm going to the West Coast. And then you kind of like you meet your life partner, and he's from Missouri too. And okay, I guess we'll just stay around family. And no, it's worked out for the best.
Heck yeah.
Did you grow up a Royals fan, being from Iowa, and then going to school in Missouri, or did you have a different team, or did you care about baseball at all?
Did definitely care about baseball. I always hesitate to answer this question because of Kansas City, but I grew up a Cardinals fan. In Iowa, you get a huge mix of people. So there's Cubs fans, Cardinals fans, Royals fans, Twins fans, and then the random Yankees, Red Sox, big team fans. But yeah, grew up a big St. Louis fan. My grandparents were huge Cardinals fans, so I have fond memories of sitting out on the patio when during the summer when my grandparents would be watching me and my siblings, listening to Cardinals games on the radio. That's kind of how I got my start in baseball. And then, once you get into college, you kind of lose that fandom. But that'll always hold a special place in my heart. And but I always used to drive down. Like it's only 3 hours from home, Kansas City is. So I would drive down to Royals games with my friends in high school, and we'd go to a day game and then make our way back up. So I probably went to more Royals games than Cardinals games growing up, but always rooted for the Cardinals, and that's done. So no one hate me.
If it makes you feel better, I was actually born just outside St. Louis, and I lived there for the first 7 years of my life. So I was a Cardinals fan for a while too.
It's an historic place for sure.
Yeah. So I know we probably need to start wrapping up here, but I did have one more question for you. Do you have any stories that you've wanted to tell, but they just wouldn't fit in any articles or something like that? You're like, oh, this is a great little thing, but it doesn't really fit. So I guess now would be the time to tell us that story.
Wow, that is a great question. I don't know. What's funny is over the last couple of years, it is a really tough one, and I'm not going to have a great answer for you. But over the last couple of years, like when that has happened a lot, where a tidbit doesn't fit into a story. I'm running up against word count, I'm running up against deadline, and it just hasn't worked out. Now, what's great about our content is the newsletter. So I have 2 a week, and I can add whatever I want in, and it's completely fine if I look back a couple of games. So I just put the tidbits in there, and so a lot of what you see in like those second sections, third sections, are looking back on things that maybe I wasn't able to fit in. So I don't have a great answer for you, but some of the stuff that you see in the newsletter from a couple of days ago or whatever is kind of the stuff that I couldn't fit in that story that day or whatever. There was a lot from Bobby Witt Jr.'s 30-30 when he hit his 30th home run and became the first Royals 30-30 player. There was a lot from that I fit into newsletters like over the next couple weeks because I just did not have the space for it in that initial story.
Knowing that we need to make sure we're combing that newsletter for these little tidbits is good to know too. So thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, please read it.
Well, you talked about the reception of the newsletter, and I think those little tidbits and kind of that freedom you have to put those sort of things in there is why people love it so much. At least that's why I do. For all of our listeners out there, the link to subscribe to the Royals Beat newsletter is going to be down in the podcast description below. So please go check that out. You get the newsletter right in your inbox. It's easy to share with other people if you want. And yeah, I don't think I've seen something in the newsletter that was already on MLB.com, which is one reason why I love the newsletter so much and tell people that they need to get on it. You're missing out on a lot of good content, folks.
I appreciate that. It's a good way to get information, especially if you don't remember to go to Royals.com every morning. I do that. I get the New York Times newsletter, Washington Post newsletters because I don't want to spend a bunch of time, scrolling through those websites. I just get the news to my inbox. So that's kind of what we're trying to do at MLB.com. And people seem to like it. Some people hate it. They let me know that too. That's fine. You can unsubscribe really easily. But I hope that I can get a couple more subscribers than unsubscribers.
Heck yeah, I fully agree with that. Hey, Annie, I know we're stumping you with some of these questions at the very end here, so I got one more doozy to throw your way. Here, traditionally on the podcast, we close out our episodes with what we call Royals Review Reviews, and I did not put this in the prep, so that's on me. We talk about anything in life. It could be a movie, TV show, book. I think I reviewed a store one time. We just review something within a minute or two. Are you game for that if we go before you?
Okay, go show me how it goes, but I'll try to jump on board.
Jeremy, set the example, man. You got the best ones around.
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna say Midnight Suns again, just because.
Oh my gosh.
I'll throw that out there. But also I've been watching season 2 of What If, Marvel's What If on Disney Plus. It's the same thing as this first season. If you liked the first season, you're gonna like the second season. I just actually finished. They had a sequel kind of episode to the Captain Carter episode where she got the super soldier serum. So there was a direct correlation to the first season in that episode as well. I haven't finished it yet, but it's more of the same, which was honestly pretty good, I think. So there you go. Just all Marvel all the time now, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so. Marvel video games, Marvel TV shows. You're all about it, Jeremy. I love it. There ain't nothing wrong with that. See, I had a good review, but I got to review a TV show that my wife has been watching all day long so far. It's called The Buccaneers on Apple TV Plus. It's based off of an Edith Wharton novel. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's about some Americans in the 1870s, American girls going over to England in the 1870s, and their story, finding life partners and the dynamics that they all share and things like that. It's a good, I don't want something too serious, but I don't want laugh track sitcoms. That's kind of the good middle that this show settles in, and it's an easily digestible show. So the Buccaneers on Apple TV Plus is my review for tonight. Annie, I hope we've set a good example for you.
So, okay, I have a clarifying question. Do you have to do a TV show, or is it anything?
No,
Anything.
anything.
Okay. Well, all right. Mine isn't that new, but it's new for me. We got a record player over Christmas, and I've been like starting to collect some vinyls, and I got Taylor Swift's newest album, Midnights, the other day. And if you guys know me, you know I love Taylor Swift. So I obviously know all the songs already because it came out like last October. But it's a new way for me to listen to it with the vinyl, and it's so cool. It's like a lavender vinyl, and it sounds great. Every single track sounds awesome through the record player. So I've been having fun with that, collecting some different vinyls over the past couple of weeks. Excited to continue that collection. And I'm working on getting every single Taylor Swift record there is.
Yeah, so is my wife. So once you get every single record out there, then you have to go get every single color of the record. You have edition. you have to get the rainbow.
I know
of all the albums.
I know. I'm gonna spend too much money. My husband's gonna be mad, but that's okay. I don't care.
Andy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know we talked a lot about the newsletter and MLB.com, but are there any other places folks can find your work? And please tell them where they can find you on social media as well.
Yeah, those are the two best places. You can sign up for the newsletter directly from Royals.com. Just go to, or if you want to click on a newsletter and subscribe to it, just click on Royals Beat. They'll show you a bunch of all of the teams. Click on Royals Beat. So that's how you do that. I'm trying to, like, for my mental health, I'm trying to scale back social media, but I'll still send out links on Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called. And that is at Annie, ANNE, 2_ Rogers, ROGERS. So you can find me there. And I'll still post links, but it's gotten to be a lot. So I'm trying to scale back the time there. So scour Royals.com, scour the newsletters for all the news and insights.
We at least need a preseason update on Harry. Okay, it's been a long time since we've seen Harry on our X feeds, Annie. I need to update.
I know, that's true. Don't worry, it'll come.
Oh.
I'll be I'll share it before spring training.
All right, sounds good to me. Jeremy, do you have any other questions or comments before we get on out of here?
Nope. It was a
right.
pleasure having you, Annie. I'm so glad you were able to join us.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, everyone out there, please check out the podcast description below for all the appropriate links and where you can find Annie's work. Thank you, as always, for your support. Listen to us on Spotify for those Q&As and polls. But until next time, go Royals!